We're Jared and Ashley, and if you don't already follow along, we're currently in the midst of turning this Mercedes Sprinter into a full off-grid camper van. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button to follow along, because this is going to be one epic journey that you're not going to want to miss.
Oh, yeah.
Today, we are bringing to you guys 10 of the most frequent questions that we've been asked about the start of our van life adventure.
10?
10. Some of the things that we agree on, some things we do not agree on. Like, are we going to have a toilet in the van?
You gotta have a toilet.
Are you going to install a stereo system in the van?
Definitely,
No.
Definitely. Come on.
Are we going to have an induction cooktop? Yes.
No.
Are we going to have a roof rack? Yes.
Definitely. Oh, yes.
Okay, question number 1. What made you want to get a van? This was an easy question. We were super excited because in 2020 we had a ton of trips planned. We had
man.
Sweden, we had Colorado, we had Cancun, Iceland, and when we were going to go to Iceland, we were actually planning on renting out a van for 9 days and traveling around the whole country, and that was going to be our first experience into van life. But unfortunately with COVID, that didn't happen. So
We went out to the Pacific Northwest, flew into Portland.
we used a company called GoCamp, and they actually rented us a RAM ProMaster. And for 9 days, we spent just driving,
Cruising around.
hiking,
Oh, yeah.
exploring everything that the Pacific Northwest had to offer, going all the way up to Mount Rainier National Park, over to Cannon Beach, all the way down to Mount Hood, down to Bend, Oregon.
Bend.
And being in a van just changed the whole experience for us. I feel like we've been places and we've hiked and we've car camped, we've backpacked, but we just loved the van.
Yeah,
Like,
the
it
van
was
was
cool
sweet.
to have a home base.
Yeah, you have the ability to just go anywhere, right? You can literally pick up, go anywhere, you're tired, stop, crash, right? And I think there's a versatility to it.
Question number 2. How did you determine what type of van to get, or what were the determining factors?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. There's a lot of different makes and models out there, right? You've got the Ford Transit, the RAM ProMaster, the Mercedes Sprinter.
There are a lot of vans, and we looked into all of them. We went to dealerships, learned all about them, what the pros were for each one, what the cons were for each one. We knew for a fact we wanted a diesel.
Yes.
We knew for a fact that we wanted a shorter wheelbase. We didn't want the long wheelbase. We wanted to be able to go more places.
Yep.
And just have a little bit more versatility with it. So the long wheelbase just didn't make sense. I think overall, I wanted the RAM ProMaster because it's more like a box. And to me, I felt like with this being our first van build, maybe we should go with something more easier to build things around, because the walls aren't rounded like the Sprinter. But
Fair. You can sleep sideways in the Ram, right?
Right.
You can sleep from head on the passenger side and feet on the driver's side. That saves a lot of space. But at the end of the day, it really came down to the history on the market, right? So Sprinter's been made since, I think the first one came out in like 95. So it's been out for several years. And from the back of the first 2 seats, right, from the passenger seat and the driver's seat, from the back of those seats to the back of the van has not changed geometry since the van came out. So what that means is conversion kits, lengths of wiring, mounting locations, structure locations, all that history's there. And there's a plethora of information on the internet, primarily YouTube and some of these Sprinter forums, that they just have all the information you need. You go buy the special part, you plug it in, you plug in your S-Bar D2 heater, and it's over. It's done. And I think that, to me, had a much greater value, not having an infinite amount of time to build this thing out. To me, that's really what it came down to, is familiarity.
what is your vision of the van, and where did you find your inspiration?
Ooh.
I feel like this is one that I really struggle with, because I very much want to make it very like cozy and homey, but then at
You
the
want a
same
fireplace and a
time,
wood-burning stove, too?
I would if you'd let me.
No,
But-
you should burn the place down.
At the same time, this is going to be used primarily for adventure and
Yep.
hiking and backpacking and doing all the stuff that we want to do.
Surfing.
Mountain biking, whatever it is. So
wakeboarding.
I go in between making this like a tiny home on wheels to an adventure rig. And I think trying to find a middle ground where I can still make it pretty, but it's very functional and based around the activities that we're going to be doing while we're in it. It's kind of trying to meld the two, adventure and a tiny home, into one. Do you have a layout designed already? Yes. But we change it every day.
No changes. Design is locked. There will be no more changes.
Just one more.
No changes. Y'all get on her.
Yes, we have a layout. And I have pounded my head 1,700 times telling myself I cannot change it.
1,700?
Yes.
No wonder you have headaches. You need to chill out.
So, here is our layout. And we did not want a convertible bed. We didn't want to have to get up and make our bed every single day and change it from a dining room table to a bed. We wanted a primarily fixed bed, but we also, since we have a short wheelbase, with that being a 144, we wanted to try to utilize as much space as we could. So, here's our bed. And then this right here is an L-shaped bench. Here's our kitchen. The back of this bench where you put your back will actually flip up and extend this whole thing. All right, this back piece will flip up and this whole thing will be a bed. So your feet will actually be right here and your head will be up here by the back doors. So you walk in here, this max air fan will be on the ceiling, so that's not something on the floor. But here's our kitchen.
Right, so there's seating for roughly 4 people in the van.
Right.
Not necessarily an entertainment van, right? But you can sit 4 people in it, and if you flip the swivel seat for the passenger around, you could also share a meal across a flexible or convertible table.
So, question number 5. What are you most excited about for Vanlife? I'm most excited about overall, like, living a simpler life when I'm in it.
That's fair.
Not worrying about the things that don't matter. Living with less and still being super happy. I think we've been on this minimalism kick for a while.
Yeah.
And I think we've learned that we are happier with less.
You're happier when there's less input, right? When there's less decisions to be made. There's less clutter around. There's less, I gotta figure out which of these 1,000 options I'm gonna choose. That just drives stress.
Number 6, where is the first place you're taking her?
To the stop sign at the end of the parking lot, and then we're gonna turn right, because that's how you get to the highway.
The first place that we're taking her, and we may not agree, we're taking her to Utah.
Ooh, agreed. There's no disagreeing.
So we went to Utah in September of 2019, and we fell in love with Utah. Like, fell in love with it. We went to Zion, we went to Escalante, we went to Moab, we went to all these really cool places. Utah, we're coming for you. Hopefully in September when the span gets done.
Yeah. All I hear is schedule pressure. Hurry up, go faster, hurry. When are we gonna be done? Well, hurry,
Number 7. How did you decide on a fridge? To be honest,
that's a tough question.
Well, that's not really a tough question.
We picked a really cold one. I don't know.
I think we were torn between 2 brands, Dometic and Isotherm.
So there's a couple options, right? You can choose AC, alternating current, and DC capable. You can just do a simple AC fridge, which is like a dorm fridge. You can do a DC only fridge. At the end of the day, if you do an AC only fridge, you can get them really cheap, $100 for a little dorm fridge. But the disadvantage for those little dorm fridges is they run on AC power. So you have to have your inverter running all the time, and they become far more of an energy drain on your system. So we don't have 3,000 watts of solar and 5,000 amp hours battery life, right? We can't just run these large appliances. So yeah, it's an Isotherm 65, is it an Essence?
Elegance.
65 Elegance.
Yeah.
So that's what we went with.
Number 8. I'm interested in what type of insulation y'all plan on using. Love your videos.
Nice.
For the insulation, we went with Havelock wool, and we're gonna do a whole video on insulation and why we went with Havelock and our experience with it. We actually just got it in the mail today, so we haven't really got a chance to play with it, but we are going with the Havelock wool R7 batt insulation.
It's a 2-inch batt.
Yeah, 2-inch batt insulation, mainly because it is natural and there's no chemicals, and it helps with moisture management.
That's, to me, that's the sell, right? Is because it's an organic material. It has the ability in a warm van where there's a lot of condensation in a cold outside air where you know you're going to have moisture. It has the ability to pull that moisture in, hold on to it when they're in wet conditions, and then when it dries out, it'll release that moisture back to the environment.
Question number 9. Favorite and least favorite part about the van build? Do you want to go first? Because I'm sure our opinions are different.
My favorite part is probably electrical design, right? I'm an engineer by nature. So when you look at DC inverter chargers, you got AC inverter, you have AC chargers, you've got battery banks to store, you've got solar power and solar power charge controllers and battery monitoring. Like that, to me, just that's where it's at, right? Putting those components together and building a full off-grid system. Never done it before. By far the best part of the van build.
What's your least favorite?
That stupid headliner shelf. Gosh.
All right, let's not talk about that. Electrical was my absolute least favorite part. I say was, like we're finished with it. We're not finished with it.
We haven't started. The batteries are sitting right over here.
Electrical has been a nightmare for me. I don't know anything about it. I have bad dreams that our van is going to catch on fire, and
it's got a smoke detector in it. That's good.
We put a smoke detector in it, and I put a carbon monoxide detector in it because that is legit my biggest fear. I don't like electrical. My favorite part has been, I think, all of the exterior stuff, like the windows, the luminous ladder that we're getting in this week, the solar panels on top. Obviously, I'm all about instant gratification, so don't sue me. Question number 10. For people thinking of doing their own build, where should they start?
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. YouTube for sure.
YouTube, great place.
YouTube. I think if you can figure out what you're going to use the van for, whether you're going to live in it, whether it's just going to be a weekend warrior type of van, I think figuring out what you're going to use it for, obviously, is step 1. And then using that information to determine which van to get is step 2. And from there, I mean, YouTube all the way.
At the end of the day, don't be scared of it. There's so much information. But you got to have a little confidence, and you got to be willing to pick up the screwdriver and pick up the drill and get after it.
I think that's it.
All right.
That's a wrap. 10 questions that we've been asked about starting our van life adventure. If you guys like our videos, please consider liking and subscribing. I think the subscribe button is down here. See you guys next week. Tune in next week to see the initial stages of our electrical system setup.
Ew, babe, come on.
Ew, babe, come on.
Didn't work.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us along on Instagram at WeTakeTheVan. We'll see you guys next week. Is somebody here?
Someone else.
I just heard a car door close.
Just go ahead. Continue on. I'm not getting up to check the door. There's nobody there. You want me to do it every single time, and there's never anyone at the door. I'm not going over there.